Meeting your goal weight or achieving your ideal body can feel incredibly satisfying. You work hard, you focus, you sacrifice, and that sense of accomplishment can feel really good. It can even feel like a purpose. But that kind of purpose can end up becoming a distraction because it can keep you focused on what's easy to measure instead of what's meaningful. And so for many women, that sense of progress can actually keep them from listening to a deeper calling that they're meant to follow, a calling that brings true fulfillment, not just another achievement. So today, we're going to talk about why achieving body goals doesn't create lasting happiness and how you can step into a life that feels aligned, alive, and truly your own, feeling your best in the skin that you're in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Kristina Bruce, a body, peace, and self-trust coach, and I help women let go of body fixation, reconnect with their inner wisdom, and feel confident in who they are without feeling the need to control their bodies to get there. So if you like what you hear today, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you can listen to new content that helps you feel more peaceful in your body. All right, let's get into it. So this episode, I'm really inviting you to do some deeper self-reflection. And depending on what your journey is or how you relate to your body, you might be in a position where you've been spending a lot of your time in your life dieting, controlling your body, working hard to look good, or just really strongly pursuing health. And if that's you, I get it. I've been there. I spent so much of my life really fixated on managing my weight first and foremost and making sure that I was healthy. But what I started to realize is that was actually a distraction. You see, in this culture, we are so fixated on bodies. Oh my goodness. Not only are we absolutely obsessed with thinness and we hate fat, so we have very black or white thinking about that, which is a signal whenever we have black or white thinking that it is actually not the truth because we're missing a whole bunch of nuance in the middle. But we live in a culture that really praises people's bodies. And we see it. We see it the before, the after photos. How much praise did you maybe get yourself or you see people getting when they meet a weight loss goal? I see it. I see people posting their weight loss goals and everybody's in the comments telling them how amazing it is. And the truth is, you can get a real high off of meeting your goal. I mean, it's a real feeling of accomplishment and success. And the truth is, it is a success. It is an achievement because it required discipline, effort, sacrifice. But here's the thing. That sacrifice, that effort, that achievement, it's like a carrot on the stick. It's always moving ahead of you because bodies are always going to change. You're not going to be able to maintain it. There's going to be something that will happen either in your life or just, the natural aging process that can make it feel like you're somehow a failure or it's harder to maintain. Well, what if that's because this isn't actually the way that we're supposed to be focusing on bodies? Or perhaps maybe not the most beneficial way for us to be viewing our bodies and treating these weight loss goals or these body goal achievements. Here's the thing. Fitness, nutrition habits were never meant to become our lives. They were always meant to support it. But the deeper that you go into this world, it can easily become your life. There are many people, and if they will admit it, some people who now maybe have stepped away from it or on the body peace path have been really open about admitting this. Other people may not even realize this was the driver for them to go into their profession. But many people who have become really fixated on achieving body goals end up making it their career. So they go into nutrition, they go into dietetics, they become a personal trainer because the effort, the attention that is required to achieve and maintain this body goal has to basically become their life. It's really difficult to put in that much time and effort and it not become your life. Now, I'm not talking about people who really actually love working out, being at the gym. Maybe they did a degree in kinesiology. They love nutrition and dietetics, and it brings joy to them, and they're in a real good, peaceful state about it. But again, there is the issue of if we feel that we need to maintain that body goal, or in some way it's a failure if we lose it, that's where suffering happens. So we want to just start to see that in this world that really reinforces and validates body goals, it can easily end up becoming this purpose in our life that maybe was never intended and actually isn't what we truly want to do. It just ended up being this slow creep that kind of took over our lives. So the confronting piece of this episode today is really starting to reflect and see, is my pursuit of a body goal become a distraction? Pursuing these goals for my body, does it feel actually safer than reflecting and getting honest on what my deeper calling might be? Because when we start to go within and we start to look at what is it that we really want for our lives, we might have to face vulnerability, fear, or self-doubt. It might seem that it's harder to attain. And so a body goal, it's kind of like a low-hanging fruit. It's easy to get that hit of a sense of achievement and accomplishment and purpose, especially in a culture that highly equates worth and value to appearance. And right now in our culture, that's thinness for women and it's being muscular and lean for men. So the question is, has pursuing a body goal become sort of this productive avoidance, a way that we can distract from what is it that's actually bringing us more meaning in our lives? And when we're spending so much time and energy on our body goals, we're not really giving that much time to what our deeper calling may be, what our soul is nudging us towards. And achieving these body goals also can bring this sense of confidence. But the thing is that confidence, if it is dependent on how you look, it's not real confidence. If your confidence was to go down as soon as you gained weight or didn't meet that goal, then that confidence was never really real. It was conditional confidence. And that pressure to maintain then that sense of confidence and worth and value can create a lot of anxiety, because then there's this fear of losing my sense of value. And this is really strong for women because throughout history, women have been first and foremost valued for their appearance. We can even look at it today, where there are many women who are really successful, who have achieved lots of things, and they're still culturally in the media focused on their appearance. They're still judged by their appearance or complimented on their appearance, even first or more so than their accomplishments of whatever their profession is. So I want to actually pause for a second and do a little brief tangent, because you may be hearing this and say, yeah, but my body goal is really about health. I'm doing this for my health. And a little question I want to pose to you to tease out, is it really about health, or is there actually something underneath it, this sense of my worth and value being attached to my appearance? Might that be driving it? Because I think if many women were really honest with themselves, the deeper driver over health is appearance. And here's the question to ask yourself. If you could be totally healthy, and I'm going to say that this is actually possible. Let's say you're 20 pounds heavier than you want to be. So your body goal is whatever, and you're a little bit off from that. And you knew that you could be totally healthy your whole life at that weight. Would you be okay with that? Would you still feel the need to be pursuing your body goal if you were, say, 20 pounds heavier than your goal and you could be perfectly healthy? If the answer is no, I would not be okay with that, then health isn't really the driver. It's deeper. Now, there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. That is literally the result of growing up in a culture that has deeply conditioned us to attach our sense of worth, value, and okayness and validation from our appearance, particularly for women. So if we are afraid of losing that, and why wouldn't we be? Nobody wants to feel unworthy. You don't want to feel like you don't have value. Then can easily stay stuck in this cycle of feeling like they need to achieve or maintain their body goal in order to feel that sense of worth and value. It becomes this trap. So in order to even start considering letting go of achieving the ideal body or maintaining these body goals, the question to start asking yourself is, what do I want this goal body to give me? What's the feeling? Because anything that we're pursuing is always in the pursuit of a feeling. It's never for the thing. It's what we believe the thing is going to give us, what we think it's going to make us feel. Hey there, I wanted to pop in for a moment and say that if what you're hearing here resonates and you're ready to move from understanding this work to actually feeling more peace in your body, I'd love to support you. I offer a 1-hour introductory coaching session. This is a focused space where we get right to the core of what's been keeping you stuck and create a real shift in how you're relating to your body. If you're ready for relief from body thoughts, the scale, and constant self-judgment, this is your time. You can book your introductory session using the link below. I can't wait to support you in feeling more peace in your body starting now. For women particularly, this can actually go really deep. It can tie into our survival instinct and this sense of safety. I'm actually going to go into this much more deeply in another episode, but let's just look at it. For centuries, women's physical safety was tied to being with a man. And so how did you end up attracting a man? Women did it by their appearance and their beauty, first and foremost. The thought then of losing the ideal body, the sense of attractiveness, can tap into this survival instinct that says, I'm not going to be physically safe unless I look good. That survival instinct also is connected to the feeling of being accepted by others or belonging. So if we don't belong, we don't want to get kicked out of the tribe, because if we get kicked out of the tribe and we're on our own in the wild, that pretty much means certain death. That's why we care so much about receiving validation from other people, because it taps into that survival instinct that says, okay, now I feel safe. This also can be really deeply connected to the feeling of not getting love, especially if you grew up in a family that highly values appearance. So maybe you grew up in a family that was always praising appearance or really cared about how other people viewed them. So maybe it was you always had to get dressed up whenever you were going out, or you always had to look a certain way because, oh, how are people going to perceive us? And if you didn't meet that expectation from your parents, then you could feel like, I'm not going to get love from them. I'm not going to be accepted. That ties into a deeper survival instinct as well. That could be at play of what is driving this whole desire to have a body goal. We want to start asking them, what is it that I'm hoping achieving a body goal will give me? Is it a sense of safety? Okay, because that can be a real big one when we dig down to it. Is it this feeling of meaning? So I'm working towards a goal. I'm achieving something. It gives me a sense of purpose. Also, when we're achieving body goals, that can also happen in community. You could be at a gym and you're with a whole group of people who are also doing that. That could be fulfilling this need of community. And that can feel scary then to let that go, or to think, oh, I'm not going to be on the same path as them anymore. Now I'm going to lose community. But I just want to, put this in here to say right now that anytime you're making a shift, if you do choose to make this shift away from the body goal being the main thing, it will always open up space for new people to come into your life. It's never that you're going to be leaving the old and then you're abandoned and you're alone. Other survival fears that could be coming up. Something new will come in. Asking yourself again, is it because I feel like I want to be valued by achieving this body goal, to feel like I'm enough? All of those feelings are not dependent on a body goal. It's not dependent on achieving a certain weight, or looking a certain way. All of those feelings can come from within. That's actually where they're rooted. And more so, you can achieve that feeling, the meaning, the purpose, the connection, when you are focused on something that really aligns with something that's meaningful to you. And the way to start to do that is to drop out of all these ideas that we've learned, these maybe even coping mechanisms or ways of how we thought we could get that feeling, and realize that we can get that by tapping into our heart and listening to our soul's calling. A way that you can really find out for yourself if achieving the body goals is actually your true fulfillment is to check in with yourself. One of the questions, if, I knew that I could be healthy even by not meeting this ideal goal weight, if I knew that I could be enough, if I knew that my worth and value was not dependent on my appearance, would I still be pursuing this body goal? Would this actually be a thing that I even cared about? Another analogy that I use, or more like a visualization, is if you could imagine that you were living on a magical deserted island where you never felt lonely, you had all the things that you wanted to do, but you never saw another person, would you still be pursuing that body goal? These are questions to ask yourself, to tap into. Is this body goal really for me? Is this actually what lights up my soul? Or is it something I'm doing because I'm reaching for a feeling outside of myself that I just learned I could get by focusing on my appearance? But the thing is that if that is the case, it's going to continue to become a trap, because as we get older, it's going to be harder to maintain it. And it's not really then what's bringing the true fulfillment. And so when we look at these body goals and we see, am I really doing this because I'm looking for that external validation? You might have come across the top 5 regrets of the dying. One of the regrets of the dying is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. And body goals, whether we might be aware of it or not, are often coming from the expectations of other people. So go back to that deserted island metaphor. If you had never seen another body, how would you know what was an expected body or what was an expected appearance? You wouldn't. My guess is you would feel totally fine with your body because you had nothing to compare it to. So I would say that for many people who are pursuing body goals, a lot of it is not because that's what deeply they want in themselves. It's for many of the other reasons that I already mentioned. The survival, the reaching outside of ourselves for fulfillment, the ways that we've been conditioned in our family. It's all this kind of big distraction, this way of saying, if I could get this, then I'll finally feel okay about myself, fulfilled and good enough. That does not come from achieving those goals or the expectations of others. This really comes down to this journey of going inward instead of being so outward focused. It's turning our attention around and starting to drop out of our mind and into our hearts, and letting our worth be internal, not appearance-based, not based on the validation of others, and not based on achieving certain markers of success. Because again, like that carrot on the stick, once you achieve that or once you've grabbed it, it's going to move again. And I'm sure you've known this for yourself. When you achieve something, then there's going to be the next thing, which is fine because we are creative beings. This is fun for us to achieve things. This is what we do. But if our sense of worth and value is dependent on that achievement, and as soon as we lose it, we feel like we've failed, or we feel like we're not good enough, or we're upset, then we've attached it to that achievement. And that's the recipe for suffering. And no other place is that going to happen the most is if we have been attaching our sense of value, worth, and meaning to our appearance and body goals. This is really an invitation in this episode to allow a deeper calling to lead you. If the body goal wasn't on the table, what might you be focusing on? What might you be called towards? And I want to be clear here. There's no judgment in this, okay? That is 100% completely understandable. And you or someone you know may choose to live the rest of their life this way. And that is totally fine. This is not a critique. This is not about morality, but it is an invitation that if you're hearing this and you're really feeling like it's tiring to continue to live this way, I don't want to keep valuing myself based on my appearance. I don't want to keep spending most of my time, mental energy, resources constantly thinking about food and how much I weigh and what I look, then I'm going to tell you that that calling for yourself, what you really are here to do in this life, is not to achieve a body goal. The invitation is to go inwards. It's to start to see how much has this fixation on my body goal overshadowed what really matters in my life. And now you can feel a sense of sadness around that or guilt. Just let that go. This is not about blaming yourself. This is not about self-punishment. This is a journey. And I really, truly believe that everything we do is for a reason or a purpose to bring us to where we need to go. If you're hearing this and something is resonating inside of you, then that's telling you your higher self, your soul is saying, hey, it's time now to make this change, to do something that is more meaningful, to start following what lights you up inside, not living from the fear. Because really, these body goals are often driven by fear. They're most often not driven by joy for most people. And when we do this work, it can feel scary because we're going to have to start to face the fears that have been driving us to pursue these body goals. We're going to have to look at the survival instincts that are activated and learn how to be able to see that differently, regulate it. We got to look at the beliefs that we have taken on to be true about ourselves and start to question those. But what can be even scarier too is we might even say, I don't even know what I want in my life. I don't even know who I am anymore if I don't do this. And another note, whole episode dedicated to that coming up. But I want to just tell you, when a space is created and when you are patient and willing to go inward and do that work, that calling will arise. So even though you may not know it right now, it will come up. And it can also feel a little scary too, because then we think, well, what if I can't actually do what I want to do? What if I don't think I have what it takes or I'm not good enough? Because again, are we using a body goal in order to distract ourselves from the deeper calling that maybe we feel we can achieve? And I just want to say this, if you have a deep desire to do something for yourself, you wouldn't have that desire if it wasn't possible for you. So I have no desire to become an opera singer. I don't think that's in the cards for me. I have no desire to become a basketball player, but the desires that I do have, I know that they're possible for me, or else I wouldn't have had that. And that's the same for you. Focusing on the body goals can take us away from giving the time and space to really look at that. But then it opens up a window to do the deeper work, to cultivate that stronger sense of self, to get clear on what we want to do, what are our values, what lights us up from the inside. There's such a benefit to being able to do this work. And like I said, I really believe that there's very few people on this earth that their soul calling is to look as good as possible or maintain a body goal. I actually believe that there are some people that is their soul calling and they are making careers out of it. That is their main focus. That is what they're here to experience in this life. But I would say for many of us, that's actually not our true soul's calling. And our true soul calling changes. So as we get older, maybe we have children, maybe our children leave the nest, whatever it may be. And it's not just about children. I'm just putting that as one thing. Our desires can change over time. And if we are focused on a body goal, that can actually get in the way of giving us the space to move along with those changes in life. And it also makes life really hard for ourselves when we think, I need to look like I was when I was 20 when I'm 50. And yet, that is the expectation. That is literally what we're doing. I mean, all we need to do is look at Martha Stewart on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine at 80. My question is, why was that important? Because so much of our culture values looking young and beautiful. Otherwise, I don't think she'd have any desire to do that. Is that really the true desire to look like, in her case, maybe, I don't know, what, 40 or 50 at 80? Is that really what matters? I don't think so. It's just all the stuff that we've been conditioned with. It's the survival instinct. It's the seeking outside of ourselves for validation that has just gotten in the way. We want to clear that out. I'm going to give you a few journal prompts right now where you can start to get clarity on where might be using my body goal as a distraction from a deeper calling. If my body never needed improving again, what would open up for me? So if I never thought that I needed to reach this body goal or improve it, what would open up for me in my life, mentally, time-wise, money-wise? And lastly, what would I create, pursue, or try if I knew in my bones that my worth wasn't attached to how I look? What would I do if I really knew that? Okay, so 3 journal prompts that I want you to explore. If you made it here to the end, amazing. I know then that your soul is calling you to do something deeper, or else you just wouldn't have listened to this far. If you want that support to either be letting go of the body goals, because I know how challenging and scary that is, or you'd also like support and saying, hey, I want to start to make this change in my life now. I actually want to take steps towards fulfilling my heart's desire, but I know that that can be challenging. My mind can get in the way. I might stop myself. Coaching can be a beautiful way to support you in that process. You can book an introductory coaching session in the link in the description, and we can actually start to do some work right there in that very session. Thank you so much for being here today and listening, and I look forward to being with you in the next episode.